Imagine a man chained in a dungeon. The chains are not forged of iron, but of his own virtues. His honor is the lock. His integrity is the key he refuses to use. He is the good man, the just man, the first man to perish. What if I told you that to be truly free, truly undefeated, you must first learn how to break these noble chains? Defeat is not an accident, it is a science. And its primary subject of study is the predictable man. Society will furnish you with a map to your own destruction, and it will call this map morality. It instructs you to be consistent, for consistency is a sign of a stable character. It tells you to be transparent, for transparency builds trust. It demands you be a person of your word, for your word is your bond. These are the lessons taught in sunlit courtyards and preached from gilded pulpits, and they are the very characteristics that make you a perfect, helpless target. The predictable man believes the world is a stage for the performance of virtue. He thinks that if he plays his part, the loyal friend, the honest partner, the merciful leader, the play will conclude with a just reward. He does not understand that he is not on a stage but in an arena, and the audience does not reward virtue, it rewards survival. His consistency makes him an easy target to anticipate. His transparency allows his enemies to read his every thought, his every fear, his every weakness as if they were written in a book. And his bond, his word, becomes a cage he builds for himself, one from which his adversaries, who are bound by nothing but their own ambition, are free to watch him. Consider the nature of a trap. A trap functions because it exploits a predictable pattern of behavior. The path is worn, the bait is familiar, the mechanism is hidden. The predictable man walks this path every day. He reacts to insult with indignation. He responds to flattery with a smile. He meets aggression with either appeasement or righteous fury, always one of the two. His reactions are a simple code, and once the code is broken, he is no longer a man. He is a machine to be operated by his enemies. They learn which levers to pull to make him angry, which buttons to press to make him compliant, which words to whisper to make him trust them. And when the time is right, they will lead him, using his own predictable virtues, directly into the snare they have set for him. He is defeated not by his enemy's strength, but by his own psychological architecture. He is an open book, and in the world of power, an open book is always the first to be set aflame. This is the anatomy of the victim, a soul governed by rules that the predators of this world have long since learned to ignore. Now let us speak of the architect. Niccolo Machiavelli offers not a path to wickedness, but a diagnosis of the world as it is. He is the physician who does not flinch when describing the disease. His first and most profound lesson is this: you must undergo a brutal transformation of perception. You must stop seeing the world as a community and start seeing it for what it is, a hunting ground. This landscape is not chaotic. It operates on its own cold, immutable laws. There are predators driven by an insatiable hunger for more. There are prey, paralyzed by their belief in a fairness that does not exist. There is the terrain itself, the political climate, the social hierarchies, the flow of wealth, which can be used for cover or to corner an opponent. And there are traps, hidden beneath the veneer of friendship, loyalty, and tradition. The architect of reality understands this ecosystem. He does not lament its cruelty. He studies its mechanics. He knows, as Machiavelli wrote, that there is such a great distance between how one lives and how one ought to live, that he who leaves what is done for what ought to be done learns sooner his ruin than his preservation. This is the foundational truth upon which all power is built. To seek to be undefeated while armed only with ideals is like seeking to navigate a storm in a vessel made of paper. Ruin is not a risk, it is a certainty. The first act of the architect is not to build, but to see. He observes. He detaches himself from the intoxicating poison of hope and the blinding fog of conventional morality. He studies people not for what they say, but for what they want. He understands that humans are governed by two primary forces, fear and greed. They are, as the Florentine observed, ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous. To believe otherwise, to base your strategy on their potential for goodness, on their gratitude, on their loyalty, is to build your fortress on quicksand. This clarity of sight is the ultimate weapon. It is the ability to look upon a smiling face and see the envy hidden behind the eyes. It is the wisdom to listen to a declaration of eternal loyalty and hear the silent calculus of self-interest being made. It is not cynicism. It is realism in its most undiluted form. The architect does not become a monster because he acknowledges the existence of monsters. On the contrary, he builds his defenses so high and so intelligently that the monsters either starve at his gates or seek easier prey. He does not hunt for sport. He understands the nature of the hunt so that he will never ever be the hunted. This is the first dark lesson. You cannot win a game if you refuse to see the board for what it truly is. The predictable man is food for the ambitious. The architect of reality is the one who sets the table. Comment, "I see the board," if you are ready to stop being a piece and start being a player. Subscribe, for the next lesson will teach you how to forge the impenetrable armor this new vision requires. You have learned to see the board, a dangerous enlightenment. To see the world as a hunting ground without being armed is to be the most terrified animal in the forest. Your newfound vision makes you aware of every shadow, every snapping twig, every predator's gaze. Sight without defense is merely a prelude to a more informed demise. What, then, is this armor? It is not forged of steel, nor is it a shield of brute force. It is an architecture of perception, a fortress built not of stone but of whispers, gestures, and calculated silences. Its foundation is the first principle of our new reality. Truth is a currency, not a sacrament. Welcome to the economy of lies. The predictable man, the victim, believes that truth is a moral absolute. He dispenses it freely, believing his honesty is a shield. In reality, his honesty is a gaping wound, bleeding his intentions, his weaknesses, and his plans for all to see. He is bankrupt of mystery and therefore of power. The architect of reality understands that truth is a resource, as valuable and as finite as gold. It is to be hoarded, protected, and spent, only when the return on investment is guaranteed and substantial. Lies, on the other hand, are the common currency of the realm. They are the small coins with which you conduct your daily business, pay off minor threats, and purchase invaluable time. The first layer of your armor is the meticulously crafted public facade. This is the grand, strategic lie of your persona. Men, Machiavelli instructs us, judge more by the eyes than by the hands. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Therefore, you must appear to be the embodiment of all the virtues the predictable man foolishly tries to possess. Appear merciful, faithful, humane, upright, and religious. The appearance of these qualities disarms your opponents. It placates the masses. It provides them with a narrative they wish to believe and a man they are willing to follow. While they are admiring the beautiful stained glass windows of your cathedral, you are free to conduct the necessary, darker business in the crypts below, far from their sight. This is not hypocrisy. It is statecraft. It is the understanding that a reputation for virtue is a more formidable weapon than any army. The second function of this economy is strategic misdirection. While your enemies are busy analyzing the lie of your public persona, you must use smaller falsehoods to shape the battlefield itself. You leak false information to send your rivals on pointless errands. You feign weakness in one area to draw their attention away from the true point of your attack. You manufacture a crisis to test the loyalty of your subordinates, watching closely to see who panics, who betrays, who remains steadfast. Each lie is an investment in confusion. An enemy who is fighting against shadows cannot land a blow. An opponent who believes he understands you is an opponent you have already defeated. He is playing chess against a ghost, while you are moving real pieces on a separate, hidden board. The ultimate goal is not to be a liar, but to be a master of the treasury of truth, dispensing it with such rarity and precision that when you finally do speak a plain truth, it strikes with the force of a thunderbolt, shattering all expectations and leaving your adversaries in ruin. Now, with the outer walls of your fortress established, we must secure the interior. We must address the human element. The second piece of your impenetrable armor is forged by mastering the gravity of obligation. The old question of whether it is better to be loved or to be feared is a fool's dilemma. It is a choice between two unreliable, fleeting emotions. Love is fickle, built on an expectation of benefits that can never be perpetually satisfied. Fear can curdle into hatred, which breeds conspiracy and rebellion. The architect seeks neither. He seeks to create a state of absolute dependence. He does not wish to be an emotion in the hearts of men. He wishes to be a planet, whose gravitational pull is an inescapable law of their existence. You create this gravity by meticulously controlling the distribution of benefits and injuries. Favors, rewards, and promotions must be dispensed little by little over a long period. A single grand gesture of generosity is quickly forgotten. It satisfies a man completely, and a satisfied man is a free agent. But a small favor today, with the unspoken promise of another tomorrow, creates a state of perpetual anticipation. It turns a man into a supplicant. He becomes addicted to your patronage. His ambition becomes tied to your survival. He will not betray you, because to do so would be to cut off his own supply of hope. You cultivate a garden of dependencies where every plant turns towards you, their sun. Injuries, conversely, must be inflicted all at once. When a threat must be neutralized, when a traitor must be removed, the action must be swift, total, and decisive. A long, drawn-out punishment, a series of minor cuts, does not inspire respect. It inspires resentment. It allows hatred the time to fester and grow into a thirst for vengeance. But a single terrible blow that resolves the issue permanently serves as a clinical demonstration of your power. It is not an act of anger. It is a surgical procedure to remove a cancer from the body politic. The shock of its totality paralyzes your other enemies, not with raw fear, but with a cold, rational understanding of the consequences of opposition. They do not hate you for it. They comprehend the boundary you have drawn, and they will respect it. By this calculated imbalance, benefits slow, injuries fast, you build a system where those around you are bound to you, not by the fragile threads of emotion, but by the iron chains of their own self-interest and a clear understanding of your capacity for decisive action. They revolve around you not because they want to, but because they must. To leave your orbit would be to fling themselves into the cold, empty void. This is the impenetrable armor, a flawless external reputation that deflects suspicion, and an internal structure of absolute necessity that guarantees compliance. The armor is forged, the outer walls of perception are unbreachable, and the inner court is bound by the inescapable gravity of obligation. You have insulated yourself from the external world, but the most insidious enemy does not besiege your fortress from without. It resides within the citadel itself. The greatest vulnerability is not the loyalty of your allies or the schemes of your rivals. It is the very architecture of your own human soul. Before you can achieve victory on any battlefield, you must first wage a relentless internal war against the person you were raised to be. You must defeat yourself. This is the war against your own nature, your instincts, your sentiments, your ingrained moral reflexes. These are traitors masquerading as virtues. They are echoes from a sunlit world that has no bearing on the cold mechanics of the hunting ground. Pity, for instance, feels noble. It is the impulse to spare a defeated enemy, to show mercy to the supplicant. But in the calculus of power, pity is a poison that you willingly drink. The enemy you spare today out of compassion will not learn gratitude. He will learn the measure of your weakness. He will wait, feigning loyalty, until the moment your back is turned, and he will strike with the venom of renewed ambition. He will not make the same mistake you did. The architect of reality understands that a threat half eradicated is a threat multiplied. The necessary act, however distasteful, must be seen through to its logical conclusion. The sentiment must be severed from the action like a surgeon cutting away diseased flesh. Then there is the intoxicating desire to be liked, to be approved of. It is a profound human need and a profound strategic liability. The pursuit of affection makes you predictable. You will soften your decisions to avoid giving offense. You will compromise on essential matters to maintain harmony. You become a hostage to the opinions of others, constantly adjusting your trajectory to please a crowd that is, by its nature, fickle and ungrateful. The undefeated man is not the one who is beloved by all, but the one who has amputated this need for validation. His decisions are guided by a single lodestar: necessity. Whether an action earns him applause or condemnation is irrelevant. The only question is, does it secure his position? Does it advance his goals? Does it consolidate his power? He must find his comfort not in the warmth of popular acclaim, but in the cold, hard reality of his own enduring strength. And perhaps most dangerous of all is anger. Anger feels like power. It is a surge of energy, a feeling of righteous conviction, but it is a fire that blinds the man who wields it. Actions taken in rage are almost always tactical blunders. They are excessive, sloppy, and emotional. They create martyrs where there were only opponents. They reveal your own lack of self-control, signaling to everyone that you can be manipulated, that you have triggers that can be pulled by a clever adversary. The true master of power views insults and betrayals not as personal affronts but as data. An enemy's aggression is a piece of information about his desperation. A subordinate's treachery is a signal of a flaw in your system of control. Every provocation is an opportunity to think, not to react. He cultivates an internal stillness, a chilling emotional detachment that allows him to observe the storm from a place of perfect calm. This is the ultimate victory in the internal war, to become a creature of pure will, untainted by the sentimental baggage of human nature. Having conquered the battle within, you are now prepared to achieve the ultimate defensive posture in the world without. Your goal is not merely to be strong nor simply to be feared. It is to become an unsolvable problem. An enemy cannot defeat what it cannot comprehend. You must make yourself indecipherable, a strategic enigma, a living paradox. This is the panopticon of power. They can all see you, but none of them can truly know you. You begin by cultivating ambiguity in all things. Your public statements should be masterpieces of layered meaning, offering comfort to your allies and subtle warnings to your rivals, all while committing you to nothing. You will speak of peace while sharpening your sword. You will praise loyalty while testing it in secret. Never allow anyone to believe they have a complete picture of your intentions. Let them debate your motives endlessly. Is he a liberator or a tyrant, a genius or a madman? The more they argue about what you are, the less time they have to prepare for what you will do. Next, you must make your movements contradictory. Follow an act of calculated generosity with an act of shocking ruthlessness. Promote a man you were rumored to despise. Exile a trusted advisor for no apparent reason. These actions shatter all predictive models your enemies attempt to build. They are searching for a pattern, a logical sequence, but you provide them only with chaos. This is not random behavior. It is a deliberate and controlled demolition of their certainty. You are teaching them a vital lesson, that the only predictable thing about you is your unpredictability. This creates a state of low-grade, constant paranoia among your rivals. They become hesitant, second-guessing every move, seeing traps in every shadow, because they have lost the ability to anticipate your response. They are paralyzed by the sheer number of possibilities. Finally, you weaponize your own reputation, making it as fluid and as dangerous as mercury. You allow conflicting rumors about yourself to circulate, nourishing both the stories of your benevolence and the whispers of your cruelty. You become a figure of myth, larger than life. The common people will see your compassionate facade and call it truth. Your inner circle will witness your calculated acts of obligation and call it pragmatism. Your enemies will hear tales of your decisive, brutal actions and call it tyranny. All of them will be right, and all of them will be wrong. You are not one of these things. You are the architect who deploys all of them as tools. You are a phantom in their minds, an equation with too many variables. To fight you is to fight a storm. To conspire against you is to plot against a force of nature. This is the essence of the panopticon. You are the single observer in the central tower, able to see into every cell, while the inmates can only stare back at the tower, unable to know when or where the warden is looking. They cannot defeat you because they have no idea who they are even fighting. You have waged war against your own nature and won. You have become an unsolvable problem, a phantom haunting the minds of your rivals. You are armored, indecipherable, and internally disciplined. But a fortress, no matter how impregnable, is a static defense. To be truly undefeated is not merely to survive. but to create an order so absolute that the very concept of your defeat becomes a logical impossibility. You have learned the grammar of power. Now, before we explore the final act of etching your will into the stone of history, ensure you are subscribed. The ultimate wisdom is not for the spectator, but for the architect ready to build his own eternal state. The moment will arrive. Fortune, that tempestuous river, will flood its banks, creating a chaotic landscape of opportunity. Your enemies, blinded by the crisis, will expose their weaknesses. Your allies, desperate for stability, will look to you for a sign. The predictable man would see this as a time for caution. You will see it as the moment for the ultimate expression of virtue. This is the moment for the purge, but you must understand it not as an act of destruction, but as a sublime act of creation. You are not a butcher engaging in mindless slaughter. You are a sculptor, and your medium is the flawed and crumbling edifice of the old order. Your chisel is the swift, decisive application of force. Every rival power base, every nest of conspirators, every lingering loyalty to the previous regime, these are not merely threats. They are rotten stone within the block of marble. They must be carved away, not with lingering malice, but with the cold, impersonal precision of an artist. As Machiavelli observed, injuries ought to be done all at once, so that, being tasted less, they offend less. This is not about cruelty. It is about economy. A single terrifyingly efficient purge prevents 1,000 lesser conflicts. It is a cleansing fire that cauterizes all wounds at once, preventing the slow death of gangrenous rebellion. This creative act is twofold. First, you remove. You eliminate not just the powerful lords who openly defy you, but also their lieutenants, their financiers, and the institutions that gave them strength. You must extinguish the family, as the saying goes, not just the man. This sounds brutal, and it is. But it is the brutality of the surgeon, not the sadist. Leaving the roots of the old order intact is to plant a garden of future treachery. You are clearing the ground completely, removing every last weed so that nothing can grow there again without your express permission. This is your dark masterpiece, a vacuum of power that only you can fill. It is a terrible and necessary act of creative destruction, for on this cleared and barren ground, you will build your new world. Having cleared the terrain, the second and more crucial act of creation begins, the foundation of necessity. An order built on fear alone will eventually crumble. A state built on armed force is a state under permanent siege. The truly undefeated ruler does not merely compel obedience, he makes his own existence indispensable to the survival and prosperity of all. He becomes the cornerstone of the entire structure. To remove him would be to bring the roof crashing down upon everyone's heads. You achieve this by systematically dismantling all old forms of dependency and replacing them with new ones that originate from you. Did the people rely on old aristocratic families for employment and security? You will shatter those families and create new industries, new guilds, new armies that answer only to you. Did they look to ancient traditions and religious rites for their sense of identity? You will either co-opt these traditions, becoming their high priest and interpreter, or you will create new festivals, new holidays, new civic ceremonies that celebrate your reign and the order you have brought. You will become the sole distributor of hope, the ultimate arbiter of disputes, the source of all honor, and the final guarantor of stability. You will elevate new men to positions of power, men of talent but of humble origin, who owe everything to you and nothing to the old ways. Their loyalty will be absolute, for their existence is tied to yours. You will reform the laws, not just to punish your enemies, but to create a system of commerce and justice that is efficient and predictable, a system for which you are given credit. The farmer, the merchant, the artisan, they may not love you, but they will recognize that their ability to plant, trade, and create is guaranteed by the stability your rule provides. They will come to see your power not as oppression, but as the very framework of their reality. They will protect you, not out of affection, but out of a profound and rational self-interest. To wish for your downfall would be to wish for the return of chaos, a prospect far more terrifying than the reign of any single prince. This is the final lesson. This is the ultimate state of being undefeated. It is not a matter of winning every battle. It is a matter of building a system where the battles cease to be fought, because your position is no longer a matter of opinion or contention, but a fact of nature. You have transcended the game of power. You have not just become the player, you have become the board, the pieces, and the rules themselves. Your will is etched in stone, not because of the armies you command, but because you have made yourself as necessary as the sun in the sky and the ground beneath their feet. The architect is gone. Only the architecture remains, permanent, silent, and absolute.